all of those things are very closely connected. Vulnerability, the ability to give grace as a response to vulnerability, and then authenticity.
Welcome to Vulnerability Muscle, the inspiring podcast challenging norms and helping you redefine vulnerability as a strength. I'm your host, Reggie D. Each episode of Vulnerability Muscle dives into a variety of topics such as mental health, social issues, and mindset shifts. We explore the power of vulnerability and fostering meaningful connections, healing, building resilience, and promoting personal growth. Sometimes these conversations are uncomfortable, but good workouts often are. So join us and flex that vulnerability muscle. Welcome to the Vulnerability Muscle. I'm your host, Reggie D. Today, you can see that we're in a different location. I have an amazing guest here with me, Mayor Freddie O'Connell of Nashville. How you doing, Freddie?
I'm doing all right, Reggie.
Oh, man. I am so excited for this, and I want to start by just asking, how is your heart?
My heart is good. My heart is also concerned about the hearts of a lot of people in the world right now. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like for me, just for myself, for my family, for my friends, for the people that I get to spend time with every day, my heart's in good shape.
Oh, I love that, and I love your compassion for other people, and I think that's what makes you such a great servant leader. You've been leading for a long time, like a long time. What's been the biggest shift? I know it's been huge ones, but the biggest shift from being a council member to now mayor?
I think just the process of legislating and the process of executive decision making are very different things, right? This is a managerial role where daily attention to how budgets are playing out in the world. It's not just there's a difference between the process of floor speeches and analysis and feedback, which happen a lot in the council world, versus day-to-day putting out fires. This is a lot more decisions and sort of the volume and pace and magnitude of those decisions. A change in dynamic for people who paid a lot of attention to Metro Council, who are now paying attention to the mayor's office, and sometimes good, but other times very challenging.
Yeah, I'm sure it is challenging, and I want to hop into a segment before we go any further. It's called What Comes to Mind. So it's 3 simple questions, I think simple,
all right.
That I ask folks, and so you let me know the first thing you think of. What comes to mind when you hear the word vulnerability?
Ultimately, I think relationships. I think the basis of friendship, family, love, all of those things has to exist in a space of vulnerability.
I love that. And that was one of the reasons I started this podcast. It was to recognizing my level of vulnerability with my book, and then just as I talk and who I show up as in the world now, how it has allowed me to connect and grow and build family, chosen family, not even, the family that I was born to, and the depths of those relationships because of my vulnerability. So I love that answer.
Well, and I think similarly, you can build up walls inside yourself, and so I think there's a vulnerability that's an internal type that
I like that
happens too. It's your relationship with yourself matters.
That's the most important. I love that. All right, what is something you do, because you have so many decisions to make, you have so much, what is something you do to relax and center yourself if you are stressed, overwhelmed by the decisions and challenges?
I guess I'm also very fortunate in this regard, in that I tried very hard to make the, once I had the decision that I was going to even try to do this, it was sort of go ahead and preemptively set aside as much of the stress as you can. And so I guess I'm very fortunate in that, even though there is a lot of difficult decision making, there is a lot of emotional weight to this. Most days I am not actually feeling stressed out or overwhelmed. So that's very good. But I also think in that I was very intentional from day one of making sure that the job itself, the role itself, were not my life. Like this was never, being in politics or being a politician was never, and still isn't, I hope, and after I'm done serving, won't be core to my identity. And so already having a rich network of friends, already having, a rhythm to our family means that I can still enjoy a lot of things. Like we do a lot of things as a family that are fun. I mean, we try to, I'm sort of like the adventure mapper for the family. And we just try to get out and enjoy the amazing things that are here in the city that were not here when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And just around us. I mean, there are so many places of natural beauty where you can do everything from just go on a hike in a beautiful park in Nashville or very near Nashville, or get out on a zip line.
Yeah.
And so I do that, but I also I read a lot. If I there's space in a given month. The place that you're most likely to find me if I'm not in the mayor's office is probably seeing live music or being at the Belcourt Theater watching a movie.
I love that so much. So it's such a rich experience here in Nashville. I tell people who come here from different places, like I live in East Nashville, and I can go from my house to being in Shelby Bottoms and like in what is outside in nature and wilderness in 5 minutes.
And once you're in Shelby Bottoms, it's still, to me, one of the most amazing things. You can turn a corner, and you've got the river, and you've got woods, and wetlands and fields, and you don't even know you're in a city.
Yeah,
and
it's beautiful.
Kind of remarkable because it's right there in East Nashville. Which is great.
Staying there. What is one of your favorite childhood memories?
Again, very lucky that I have a lot. We used to go as a family to the old Elliston Place soda shop as a regular, and I definitely remember sitting there flipping the old jukeboxes that didn't work anymore. But I mean, it was a neat thing to grow up knowing that, like, we were regular enough that my family knew the servers and they knew our family, and I think there's something neat about that has a much more of a small town feeling. And so that was kind of neat. I mean, it's funny, we've had the opportunity to update a lot of my old memories just in the past few months. Some of my old memories at Municipal Auditorium were seeing the Globetrotters and the old, Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Nice.
And so we've gotten to take our girls over to those, like, refreshed experiences over at Bridgestone.
Nice.
Just in the past few months. So we got to see, like, they got to experience the Globetrotters, and they're amazing. Kind of both getting into sports experiences now, so that was fun. And it's really interesting to watch, like, a modern day circus play out.
Yeah, we just recorded with a former Harlem Globetrotter of 18 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
Herb Flight Time Lang was an amazing guest, and he's doing some amazing work around kindness and spreading that message around the world. And so it's good to hear you bring up the Globetrotters and how impactful that was to your experience. And so there, when you bring up family, I gotta announce that we are related. This is my brother. This is actually my brother. So my soul mama, Madame Beatty O'Connell, she's a surrogate mother to me, and she was my French teacher in high school. Well, let's go back. She started off as the honor council teacher that was staring down the back of my neck in 8th grade when I had an honor council offense. And then became my French teacher.
You learned the hard way before you learned the right way, huh?
Yeah, then became my French teacher and became family to me, and by the way, like, you're family to me. And so this is such a huge honor to be able to sit with you and interview you. And I remember I was so proud to walk into that booth and press your name and then hear the announcement that you had been elected mayor of Nashville. It's just like such a huge honor. So, man, it's just amazing. But with that, Mama sent me some stuff to ask you.
Oh, God. Nope. Those are Alex.
Now this is nervous.
No, so we all in families, we may have sayings, we may have phrases that from movies, from books, that things that stand out and stick out in our families. And so in your family, I just wonder, what does this mean to you, this catchphrase? Eat, boy, eat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was, and it's funny now to be raising one of my own, but I was what you might describe as a picky eater when I was younger. And so that was definitely a constant refrain from my dad when we would sit. And again, I can't overstate how fortunate I am that my brother and I both grew up. We could gather around our kitchen table almost every night and enjoy a meal together. But yeah, I mean, there were moments like that where I might be, messing with something. And I will say, I think that there's probably some embellishment on a lot of the stories that have been told and retold and revised and no longer actually resemble reality.
I love that. What about this one?
I don't love it as much as you.
I'm having a good time. What about this one? Puh to you all.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are Tim O'Connell specials.
Oh,
right?
okay.
These are, as he is now frequently known, Papa Tim. Because, again, I think it's really been, I mean, you knew my mom as an advisor, as a teacher, but she is now, I think, enjoying the period of her life where she is a professional grandmother.
Yeah.
But, in those moments, if there was an eat, boy, eat, I will say, I think sometimes my brother and I would find ways to rib Papa Tim, and the response then was a puh to you all, like a dismissiveness of the environment that was happening.
Yeah. So. I love that. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on the role of vulnerability in leadership. Like, how do you show up for your people, but also in politics, like you have to hold some things to the chest. Like, how are you able to be vulnerable while maintaining that balance?
When you asked earlier about the first thing that comes to mind, maybe one of the things I'm still encouraged by and find refreshing when I'm out in the world is that people tell me that they find my approach to this job, they find my approach to community very authentic. And I think that's also what it means, because I had similarly going back to seeking this role in the first place, one of my friends was like, I knew you knew a lot of people, but it wasn't until I was working at a poll that I understood this for real.
Wow.
And I think that's always been a willingness to, try to understand what people are going through, to give grace as often as possible as a first order. And I feel like that's like all of those things are very closely connected. Vulnerability, the ability to give grace as a response to vulnerability, and then authenticity.
Yeah.
And so it's not an easy part of the job. I mean, I think so often the model of leadership is one of purely kind of strength and authority, but I think you can deliver strength, authority, confidence, and not sacrifice vulnerability and authenticity. Wow. And I try to do that as often as I can, but it's how can you not have a vulnerable response to a moment like the Antioch High School shooting? Yeah. How can you, similarly, when you are participating in any kind of recovery effort for something difficult that has happened? I mean, we've just in the past 18 months, we've had deadly and devastating tornadoes. Just this week, even though the sun has been shining, it is after a week of rainfall that produced localized flooding in multiple different parts of the city. And so making sure we operationally respond to that is important. But, I will say too, I think there are just some moments that are unexpected that almost pull the vulnerability out of you. I was over at Vine Street, actually, at church this Sunday, seeing a friend preach, and she had a really wonderful sermon. But right after the service concluded, a woman just came up, and it was sort of a moment where it didn't require a lot of words, but it was just like she needed a hug. I was ready for the hug. She was almost in tears, and there's no way you can be in that space and not have some of that, come and meet her where she is.
Wow.
So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said you can have the strength, you can have the authority while also being vulnerable. And then the different character traits that you named, like authenticity. I'm curious, like with your role in Metro Nashville, being a democratic city, and having, what are the challenges that you're seeing now when it comes to our national leadership versus our state leadership, and then how you're able to do things? What challenges do you face because of those differences?
Alex, how much time do we have? I mean, this is, I would say all of that in some ways is actually right now our greatest challenge. In just the past few weeks, it has been a daily process of having to have our departments of law and finance not just tracking but responding to things. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we learned that a triple threat of cuts coming into our Metro Public Health Department meant we suddenly had to say goodbye to 5 Metro employees. And so these are the first employees that I was fundamentally helpless to protect their jobs, protect their livelihoods, but as importantly, protect the role they were playing in the community, from working on a rapid rehousing scenario for people experiencing homelessness to community health work and kind of vaccine uptake. Like we lost some really good people in the space of public health, and I mean that's the worst sensation of some of this moment, is very often feeling like you are somewhat powerless, somewhat helpless, and then having to go search for those places where you can find empowerment and find the opportunity to be helpful. And so much of just, after the first year and change, where I feel like we were able to have a strong and reliable federal partner, recalibrate a relationship with the state. We're now at a point where we're trying very hard every day to maintain a high quality state and local relationship, but then have a new, what I would say is almost a threat vector to the city, in terms of we have a platform for, I think, broader prosperity. We have a platform where we should be able to more comfortably accommodate some of the growth that we know is coming, expect to come. Having built a great city way before I took this job, like, it has been getting, in my opinion, better and better year over year. And I think about it through what my life was like as a kid growing up here, and then what I see my daughters experiencing growing up here. And the fact that it, like so many of the things that we built a foundation for over the past year are already hitting some turbulence through forces beyond our control is a very significant challenge.
Yeah. I think it's humbling to hear you say, you feel powerless at times, because I think the misconception is that, the leader of a city has the power to do what it is to do in our city, but you don't always have that ability. And so,
no, I mean, if we lose either the funding or the legal right to do certain things, that comes from people above my pay grade, right? And there are plenty of people above my pay grade.
Yeah, definitely. I know the state of Metro is coming soon. Can you give us some maybe a quick highlight of some of the things that you'll be talking about, or some of let's brag on Nashville. What have we been doing well?
Well, I think a couple things are important to me. I think in such a rapid fire digestion of information that I think is fueled by social media, I do think it's important to have slower reflections. And so I think it is very, very important to remember what a significant moment it was in November when we secured dedicated funding for transit and infrastructure as a city, when a super majority of us came together, hundreds of thousands of Nashvillians said, we know we have not been doing enough for far too long, and now let's change our future. And we should celebrate that. That is something that happened since last year's State of Metro address, and I want to be in a position to talk about what that means, where that will take us.
How much funding was secured?
Well, I mean, we're going to get hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and that it's so good that we did that in that moment because we don't have any confidence in federal funding to support especially transit, but also some of the types of infrastructure we were hoping to offer from a safety perspective on our roadways. I think we will still see some opportunities for infrastructure, but what this means is already this year, we're doing service improvements that mean more nights and weekend service. We're expanding our paratransit for people with disabilities into more of a real-time scenario with, again, greater points of access for our disabled community. We're offering our first ever low-income fare program, and all of these things are specifically possible because we made a choice as a city last year to do this. We're accelerating sidewalk construction. We're putting fiber in the ground to have technology that supports smarter traffic signals that will have more green lights. And we did all of these things together in November, and already this year we'll be able to put some of that funding into play for the improvement of the city. And so there are some things that we've been able to do that are local self-reliance where we don't, we could certainly do more if we had a stronger federal partner, but we will be able to do a lot. Similarly, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, having just been to a remembrance ceremony for the Covenant school shooting, I feel like the entire city felt that impact, and that it reverberated even beyond Davidson County, and you started to see young people from other areas come in and participate in very significant advocacy efforts, spending lots of time at the state capitol. And I want to make sure that we don't forget about the impact to the Antioch community of the Antioch High School shooting, right? So I think slowing down a little bit and reflecting on both what we've gained and what we've lost over the past year will be really important. I think, too, just noting that a lot of what is to come is going to be a lot of pure focus on continuity, execution. This is not a time when I'm not going to be announcing something big and bold and new. This is really a time of responsibility, frankly, a celebration that things being normal and stable is good and refreshing. And so we're going to try to really just get some improvements to our employee pay plan. We're going to really lean into housing as a top priority now that we've kind of gotten transit done. And
when you say housing, affordable housing.
As much as we can, we're going to try to make a dent in what we know is an affordability issue in our housing market locally. And then we're also going to try to, take this moment after COVID where we got a lot of one-time, particularly federal money, to do some things in schools, to do some things in our response to homelessness, to do some things for people going through the process of eviction, because we saw a lot of displacement through COVID. And we're going to try to make some of those things that have really been effective structural in the budget. And then we're also very likely to continue putting things in place that let us weather uncertain economic times. So and I think it's important to be able to say, at a local level in particular, governing well so that you can see the things that we're doing that more effectively remove snow from our streets, that fine-tuning our trash collection process, that we have already this year filled more than 10,000 potholes, and we want all of that stuff, right? And that all of those things matter, right? That's like, we don't want to lose sight of the basics
Yeah.
being where people really experience their
Yeah.
local government. And so just making sure too, though, that everybody has all of the entry points in hand for programs that can help them,
Yeah.
right? Like we have a completely free financial empowerment center that has over the past decade helped people eliminate millions of dollars of bad debt, increase
Completely
savings,
free
completely
financial
free.
empowerment center.
FEC.nashville.gov. We have strengthened it over the past year with a program called Reset that focuses on seniors who have, like, we can quantify the number of people who haven't claimed different types of benefits that they might be eligible for, and say, look, we are pretty sure you can improve your financial horizons if we can get you to enroll. And so we
Yes.
want to help people with that navigating and wayfinding process to the remarkable programs that already exist, and then strategically introduce new ones.
Yes.
We've been supporting My Brother's Keeper. We've been supporting this Opportunity Wellness Zone in 37208, trying to lower blood pressure and look at programs that we can then scale. We're looking at how our partners, like the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, that we can stand with them and absorb all this data we got from a project called Imagine Nashville over the past year.
Yeah.
And so
Participated in that.
a lot of that, a lot of looking at what we can do to maintain a level of resilience that I think is going to be necessary.
I love that. And I love hearing about all the different offerings that you have, because I think you mentioned that at last year's Metro Address. Where
We started it,
Yeah.
and what I realized over the past year is actually we need to even, we need to go a little further.
Yeah, and like put it in people's faces, I think is important. One thing I love about what you just said was, because we want grand and we want complicated and we want that, but like the simple foundational things and slowing down and making sure that we are able to build sustainability and resilience to then set our city up for the growth that is happening and will continue to happen.
That's the thing, is we want our investments at neighborhood scale. We want everybody who walks into one of our community centers to just, it's all those little things. It's like making sure that every water fountain in a park is working, making sure that, that the surfaces of our basketball courts and our tennis courts are in good shape. It is making sure that we have enough fire trucks and snow plows and all those things. And if we do those things well as a city, then again, it's sort of we can maintain the quality of life that all of us expect and deserve, and then we ideally can also start to have an impact on cost of living and try to make it as possible as we can for people to have access to that quality of life.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. I want to go back to some not so political and some more fun stuff for me, at least. I think you have a friend, or had a friend maybe, Stewart, who called you on Christmas morning, and y'all had a conversation, and I think something prompted you to hang up in Stewart's face. Do you remember that conversation?
See, this is the problem. I have heard all of these stories 300 times probably already this year, and I don't need to revisit any of them.
Yeah. That is so funny. Oh, man. Well, let me ask you some of these questions. I mean, what is your go-to comfort food when you've had a long day?
Oh, man. It's probably something with too many carbs and too much cheese, I definitely can go for a serious nacho plate,
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I like that. You're one of your favorite hidden gems in Nashville.
I definitely encourage people to get over and stop by Big Al's Deli.
Yes.
I seriously don't know. There is a magic to how you invent a new hole in the wall. But Al did it somehow. Like a little over 10 years ago in our neighborhood, it was just like, okay, I didn't even know that wall was there. What's this hole in? Oh, it's Big Al, and he just keeps making amazing food.
He does.
And so it's just that's one of those little things that, and it's even been better because on snowy days, like he has just opened his doors, been behind the grill, and will feed the neighborhood. No, just a neat place.
Nice.
Al, I don't know that he's ever had a customer that isn't a friend.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
It's just it's a fun place to go check out. Just to
is.
again, like if I, that is a place where I can go find multiple options on that comfort food list.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. I'm curious, who's the best basketball player in your family, in the house right now?
Oh, easily me. They're like we used to play. So, my dad is actually the tallest of me, my brother, and me, and we used to play 36 on a gravel driveway, which is a great way to work on the discipline of your ball handling, because you never know when a dribble is going to cause the ball to just go off careening in an unexpected direction. But he didn't go easy on us, so. It is always good to be playing against someone who is better than you are.
Yeah.
But I suspect, my brother and I we've gotten in a couple of, actually over the past couple of years when he has come during the holidays, we've gotten in a couple of pickup 3-on-3 games. And, I think I'm probably in the overall, part of it is just, I have maybe maintained the best overall shape and approach to fitness over the past several years, and so I think that probably gives me an edge.
All right. I hear there's some little girls that are challenging you on that. They're gonna come up and beat you.
They, our younger daughter is like, I have watched her year over year. She just finished her second season of youth league basketball, and it's awesome to watch her. I mean, she naturally kind of drifted into being the point guard for the team this year, and it's really neat to see her build up her fundamentals, watch some of her good friends sort of also work on it, and to see the team dynamic come up where they can work on, an easy passing routine where you can watch them realize, wait, like we can do ball movement, find each other, get an assist, and that's as exciting as the basket.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I got one last question. It's a fill in the blank, and feel free to take it as far as shallow as you want. But leadership means blank.
At the end of the day, I think this is a full circle moment where I'd say leadership means vulnerability.
Wow, that's powerful. Freddie, I appreciate you for taking the time. I know you're a busy man, and so I'm fortunate to have this time. Thank you, Alex. Thank you to the city of Nashville. Thank you all to everybody who has made this moment possible for you and for me.
Hey,
man.
Glad to do it, and thanks for offering this platform to the listeners.
Yes, Mayor Freddie O'Connell, with all the things that you could be doing, all the places you could be. I appreciate you being here with me, embracing vulnerability.
Glad to do it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of Vulnerability Muscle. If you've enjoyed these conversations around vulnerability, please consider leaving a review. Your feedback not only motivates us to continue to do the work that we do, but it allows other people to witness the power of vulnerability. Share your thoughts on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or wherever you're listening from. And don't forget to spread the word. You can follow us at Vulnerability Muscle on Instagram and me personally at Reggie D across all platforms. Visit vulnerabilitymuscle.com for additional resources and support. And remember, embracing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It is the source of your greatest strength. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but most workouts are. So keep flexing that vulnerability muscle.